The Bible tells us that the Ten Commandments of God constitute the whole duty of man. In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, reading verse 13, we have these words, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." David prayed in Psalm 119, verse 18, "Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law," referring of course to the Decalogue, or the Ten Commandments. What wonderful thing do I want you to observe in this meditation? Namely this: if you look at the Ten Commandments individually, only one contains a direct example from God. What do I mean? The Bible says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." It does not tell us why. The Bible tells us we should not make images. It does not tell us because God didn't do that. We know he doesn't. You take the third commandment, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." It does not give us an example of God doing that. Or the fifth commandment, "Honor thy father and thy mother." Or the sixth, "Thou shalt not kill." Or the seventh, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," or "Thou shalt not steal," or "Thou shalt not bear false witness," or "Thou shalt not covet." But in the fourth, when God tells us rest on the seventh day, he tells us because he did it. In that commandment, God set a personal example which he did not do explicitly for any of the other nine. So when we read the law of God, the commandments of God are the whole duty of man. The high point of expressing that duty must be the observance of the Sabbath, because it was in this commandment alone that God provided an explicit example. He says to you and to me, "I rested, so you rest." We know God does not kill, but he does not say, "Thou shalt not kill," because I don't kill. He does not say, "Thou shalt not steal," because I don't steal, but we know God does not sin. But with respect to commandment 4, he tells us plainly we are to rest on that day because he did. I say again, my listening friend, the commandments of God are the whole duty of man, from 1 to 10. Among those 10 commandments, there is one for which God set an explicit example. He rested. Then he tells us, "Do as I did." Therefore, we are most like God in behavior when we observe the seventh-day Sabbath. Why? Because it is for this commandment and that commandment alone for which God provided a direct and explicit example. "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." Because he rested, he tells you and me to rest, a direct, explicit, precise example set by God. Something not done for any of the other 9, even though we know God does not sin. My listening friend, do you want to behave like God? Do you want to reflect God's character and attitude? Keep the seventh-day Sabbath the way it ought to be kept. This is the commandment for which he set an example. Follow that example and be godly. As you keep the Sabbath holy, as you observe the day that God rested on, may the Lord bless you, doubly bless your children, and hasten the day when he will come to take you home with him. But until that day, follow his example and keep the Sabbath holy. Happy Sabbath, and God bless you.